Hello, welcome back. Episode 3 of The Mic is Hot. Back here in my room talking today. Today being November 6th, 2022. Been a good day today, I think, overall. A lot of fun doing, enjoyed myself. The work really did not accomplish how the story, if it actually met. I don't know, I might regret it, but I do have something on Monday, November 7th. So I actually said November 6th because last minute Sunday, Saturday. Because either way, I do have you on Monday. I've talked about it on earlier podcasts, earlier first two episodes. I think the next episode will finally get to put that behind us. So, how it goes, I'll do a reflection on that. But that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today? I don't know. I have a few. I think I talked about this in the last podcast about whenever I have ideas to talk about, writing them down right away. I used to do that with the old podcast I did, but I don't know. It just hasn't clicked for me. I think today I'm going to talk about how is it hard? I don't know. Talking about people behind their backs. Just the thought that I had. So earlier today, went out to dinner with my girlfriend and had some pho. And on the way back, we were discussing. Asked me, "What is it? What is your definition?" One thing that she asked me: describe two of your friends over the summer as wanted me to elaborate on. And so it was really difficult for me. So talking about the details and it was hard to describe. Well, okay, the first thing is why did I think they were needy? One thing was, I think the main reason why was just that they called boyfriends who were both girls, called their boyfriend really often. I guess I just thought that that was marker of. I don't know if that's fair at all because you have perhaps even an agreed upon and schedule where you guys go in a relationship, talk to each other often over the phone. That doesn't mean they're like right. It doesn't they're I don't know. As I said, need. So I don't know if my assessment is correct, but I feel like I am still correct. Just a lot of the times it's really hard to describe in right. I guess this is what part of the one of the points I wanted. One of them was talking about people. The other point, I guess, tangential again, is oftentimes really easy to have the feelings, like vibes that you have in your head about or specific thoughts or things, but formulating them into words is the part, and that's probably why communication is everyone. People that are really their thoughts and not just communicating thoughts, but communicating respectful, helpful, and constructive way. What separates people that succeed really well and have don't. And I think that is something that I'm trying to work on. That is part of the reason why we do this podcast, right? Say these thoughts that I have in my describe them to the audience member, posterity, listening to you have a clear under. Let me try again. We'll restart this. Try again. Try and answer what girlfriend today. Earlier, that is, why did you think the people friends with were? Why did I think that? Well, one reason was after talking with them, getting to understand a little bit better and know like how they vibe with each other, how they can just how it all functions. I felt like there was a lot of codependence. The word that Michelle brought up as well when struggling to describe what I had said and just spitballing some words that could perhaps fit a picture of what I with my non-existent words. And I think this codependent is basically people when they had troubles, I think, when they had stressful, they would heavily rely on their partner support. At least that was the vibe I got. Um, didn't directly, I don't think they directly said that, and I can't directly know, right? But that was just the vibe that I got when describing how one of them. I don't know if I should go into detail. No, right now nobody's listening. Right? Likely nobody's gonna. I don't want to make the mistake where in the future does blow up by some miracle. I just start doxing people, talking about their. So I'll keep it as general as possible, as generic. So because as I was gonna second other point, talking about people behind their back, I feel like that's something that should be avoided, or not necessarily shit talking, like where you're talking about people and not perhaps paint a particular light and not allowing them to tell that painting or revise that, defend themselves from that painting anyway. You're letting the audience introduce the person distinct perspective that only I control, unfair to the actual person. I just used a lot of fancy words. Again, I want on stop using all these fancy roundabout constructions. Just convey simple idea that I want the audience to. So what I'm saying, again, generic. I guess all of that really just boils down to I felt like they talked a lot with their partners. Like it just felt like too much. Because I guess the way that I was brought up, I really valued independence. This was really come from the experience I had throughout high school, where I was alone with my parents. Despite having a sibling, it was basically living. only child lifestyle. And I guess that's something that's not really considered much. Most of the time when or when you have siblings growing up, you are gonna be, I guess the larger the age gap, they're always gonna, unless you guys are in the, always gonna be that time where one sibling, if they go to college, or it doesn't even have to go to college, they go out, not nearby, they move out of the house and they go get a job, they move to a city, perhaps a different country, continent. They just move out of the area. They're not in everyday life anymore. Younger sibling does child. And this is really only a phenomenon applied to the youngest sibling. Because if you're an older sibling, even if you're a middle child, suppose you're a middle child, okay, the older sibling and start living that be or that be work right away, whatever other means that lives in. You're gonna be gone from the house, but you'll still have your younger child or the oldest one. You're the youngest one. Everyone's gonna be gone. They're all gone, unless they live in the same house. You're gonna be alone, and you'll get to that only child life. And the amount of time that you experience it, proportional the age gap, next youngest. So for me, where I only had one sister, whole 5 years older, which the grand scheme talking about experience child I had 5 years. Okay, so left the house, went to college, and I was stuck with my. I can say that I do not wish on any child the only child, and I didn't even. I think my view is tainted because I didn't get the positives, the upsides you would often have from only child experience, right? What are some of these upsides that you might get from an only child? The ones that are very ingrained and talk about, right? One of them is lots of attention from your parents. Now, this is both a pro and a con, and for that was a con. I don't even think I really got that much attention to apply to me, but if I had even more attention than I had, a definite con because I don't really. I want attention. Part of the reason why I liked having a sibling living in the same house was because I did. So, in a way, kind of selfish, but sibling was like a fucking meat shield. Just something else to divert the incoming fire, the negative attention. What else is good that one that's often talked about is being spoiled, right? And this is just a side effect, byproduct of all the attention. You're the only child, like, are the only jewel, the only pride of trying to make successful. And that means they're going to likely lavish you with all the things that you want, maybe that you don't even know that you want. So, and they want to make you happy, right? Because I think the of parents, maybe it's not the duty, but okay, it definitely should be the duty. Should want to your children to be happy, right? So if there's only one person that you're gonna make happy, you're gonna focus more of your attention trying to make. All of that description say I don't think I was. I'll honestly say, feel like I was. I feel like I just got all the negative of. Really, I don't know what else is the pro and a con of the only child experience. Not really the main thing. Resources, and resources being money and attention. I didn't get the money part. I did get the attention part. Always negative. Didn't like it. Long aside, why was I even talking about? Oh god. I just went on a huge tangent about only children. Now I don't know how it was but my previous point was talking how I see. So I was talking about only children. I was talking about my and how that makes I am of not wanting to be. There we go. We recovered my train of thought. Actually, is one of the most satisfying things. Like you go on a tangent, it be conversation about things back to what you use it. It feels so satisfying when you can actually think back, retraverse all the steps that you arrive back at what it was that you were. I guess a small win night. Um, what was I talking about? Was oh my god, I almost lost. Now I do it being oh crap. Do I remember? I just talked about ancient. Now I forgot again. Okay, now I remember. So I'm talking about being a child, having a lot of attention, parents, because that attention was negative. Now I have the feeling relationships that I don't like people say micromanaging, but not even micromanaging, more of just um micromanaging, more of just excessively checking in on you. Not that's just not the right description. My experience from my parents had a that is right description for why I what I got my experience with my. But how does it translate to romantic? Thing is, when I'm in a romantic relationship, I think both people need. That is something I really value, right? Able to have time by yourself, not being because I don't know. It's just personality trait that I guess I have because of that attention from my parents. Now I always value not annoyed when people seriously check in on you, text you, expect responses from you, expect a lot of time and expect a lot of things. I think that is the connection that I was trying to talk about. The connection I was trying to talk about is, and it's not even directly related to what I was describing about my parents and the only child situation, but it was parents have expectations. Sometimes, especially with my parents, those expectations really soured the relationship, right? They expected so much, and because I dreaded their reaction, sometimes I didn't live up to the expectation. I just started resenting any kind of attention, right? Because there was always the fear in the back of my head. This attention that they're giving me could turn negative in any second. And I had really bad experiences, fights that I had with my parents, and incredibly non constructive. So that's something that I really want to avoid in my relationships, right? And maybe this isn't the most healthy way to do it, but one way to do that is just make sure that in your relationships you aren't coupled super tightly, right? Being able to have your own time and self recovered. And finally, tying it all back to the point that I was talking about. What are aspects of one of them I think is not having not having the feeling that you have time to yourself, because it's certainly not true. I feel like these people that I knew, and I feel like a lot of relationships certainly do have time for yourself, and you can advocate for time for yourself, but it's all about the expectation. It's like a baseline that the other person expects from you, in terms of they're going to text you, going to call you, and they expect a level of texting and calling back from you. And one thing that is just unhealthy for me, I guess, just from expectation, I I set my own bar for calling, texting, communication in general, the amount quite low, because I really value the time from, and in turn, I resent it when other people try and expect more from me than I myself want to give. I think it all came from negative attention experiences that I had with my parents. Now, obviously, I don't think I can fully blame my parents for all of that. I do think I can blame a large amount for that. I will be a little, but that is how it goes. So, how do I that I think that is a good description. I think I did my best here on November 6th, 2020. This version of me, probably the best way I can describe how those people, why I got the vibe that they were, just the level of community. Honestly, that was probably what she was saying already, but it took so long for me. I don't know. It's really hard for me to words thoughts that I have, right? It takes a while for me to correctly express what I want to say because I'm always afraid that something I say is going to get taken incorrectly by someone else. And this is just a toxic podcast episode, I guess, but I'm going to shit on my parents again. Oftentimes, things that I said, they just would interpret it in the worst possible way. And that led to many of a fight. Um, I'll go into details about that. Um, I don't know. It's like a podcast. This podcast is still like a conversation with someone, right? Except the person isn't really talking back. But just like in all conversations, it takes time to warm up, be comfortable sharing, right? It's not like you go up to a stranger and you start talking about for more difficult subjects about your own past and your family. You go through easier topics and work your way up to them. I think I need to do that with more episodes of the podcast and more reps, more trials, and being able to articulate my thoughts before I get to that. So, the audience listening to this, I appreciate you around listening to ramble. Try and work myself up into a better person, into one who is better at talking. So until then, this is what you're gonna get in. Before I end this episode, because I am quite tired and I don't know if I'll get a headache or anything, I do want to talk about that second point, right? Second point that I brought up. The second point, which was being talking about people behind their back. this is something I really try and avoid, right? If I'm remotely talking about somebody in a negative way, I just try and avoid that if they're not there. But of course, I am a social animal. I'm a human. And in these kinds of social settings as a young adult, and I think in all social settings, no matter what your age, people are going to talk about other people inevitably. And when you're talking conversations, topics, friends, sometimes just go into more negative areas. And you start in a way shit talking other people. Talk about why you don't like them, flaws that they have, things that annoy, and things, not even things that really affect you personally, it's things that you think are shortcomings and cons of other people. Now that is not as toxic, I don't think. It's not like you're trying to convince other people. At the same time, it kind of is. You're painting, you're describing people to other people that may not have a complete view of this person A. You're talking about person A, talking about their cons, shortcomings in detail or whatever you're doing. And this is what person B is gonna know now. When they're seeing person A, they're gonna have the thoughts in the back of their head, and that's going to form perhaps how they react to this person, how they interact with them. That's just how it goes. And I mean, this happens all the time, right? You talk with someone, you're just like suppose I'm talking with someone, right? I'm talking with person A. Person A is talking about person B. Oh my god, person B is so stinky. Every time I talk with him, it's like he farts in the middle and starts like stinking up a storm. He cuts the cheese, bruh. Right? Now as me, I see person B. I try my best not to do this, but those thoughts are now associated with person. They're gonna be in the back of my head. And I really try not to have it in the forefront, right? Make have myself form my own opinion of other people. And I think I'm usually pretty successful at that because people may not like person A might not like person B. I first time. Oftentimes I'll try and give them a chance. Do I like this person? What are my opinions? But I know it also happens to me. When I meet person B, I'll have the ideas and the thoughts that other people that person A said, they'll color how I start to even interpret and form my own thoughts about. So it's not even that the actual negative things that a person are ideas that I myself will agree with. It's just that now I'm more on guard when even forming opinions about a person. To be more scrutinizing. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be really on the lookout for negative things. When you're really looking for things, it's gonna be easier to find them, right? That sounds so obvious, but like if you're looking for negative things about people, you're always gonna find them. It's so easy, right? Always like when always be like, okay, I'm already forming opinions based on how they dress. They're gonna be this kind of hype beat person guy. I can't relate because I like to use money to buy clothes, which is something that me myself on November 6th, 2020, you already are starting to feel these opinions. And oftentimes you might not even be thinking about that if you're coming and talking with this person blank. Even more differently, suppose person A talked about person B positively, right? Then you're gonna even give more chances and be less critical in your analysis impressions of. So talking about people behind sometimes even trying to be talk about their shortcomings, it's still going to color how other person talking about when they themselves either meet them the first time or continue. Even if it's someone you know, you're gonna take that extra piece of while perhaps you directly and strongly disagree with what person A said about person B, and you know person B well, you're like, that can't be true, or she really like that. It's still gonna be in the back of your head, and now when you talk with person B, perhaps you'll look and you'll analyze and you'll be like, can I understand the person I see and maybe understand why they actually think in this aspect? It's just something that I actually missed and was like looking over when I had talked with. And this is all coming from just talking about people behind their backs. So something I try and avoid, but of course, inevitable. And how it goes. Oh, I just hope maybe if you, the audience member, are someone who's younger and maybe have this thought in the back of your head before you start talking, especially because I used to be really cynical, or not mean, but just, I don't know. I guess you could say kind of cold. I would automatically be more pessimistic. I think that's the word. And critical of people on first impression. I feel like I still sometimes do that. But trying to change my mindset so it's more of an optimistic. The reason why I think I adopted the pessimistic one is oftentimes when you do this, you're not going to be let down, right? Because you're already setting the bar very low. You can only go up. Thing is, with this mindset, it's also tough to want to continue to make friends because you're always going to have in the back of your head, you're like, okay, friends that I have, do I want to be good friends with this person because I don't like how they do this. I don't like how they're like this. Like blah, blah about this, right? So I'm trying to be more of the. I think it hinders developing the stronger relationship. Already starting on low ground. While for the optimistic, perhaps the risk is higher, where starting high could fall down low when you learn truly bad and negative things that affect how you view. Well, I think it helps you continue and actually develop stronger relationships because you're already starting on a higher ground. You're more willing to embrace the good parts of them. And from there, that is the first step of building stronger relationships, friends, romantic partners, and really with your family, which is something I could from. Okay, I think that's good for me for this episode. Thank you again for listening. Episode 3. Um, Perhaps you relate with some of the thoughts that I had. Perhaps, and most likely, all of these thoughts are already off. Things that you've thought about at some point or another, but good for me in particular. And hopefully, I am very minutely, very slowly talking, describing how I feel. I want to improve. That's how humans grow. That's important. And I think I am putting myself on a path to do. So that's good. Hopefully you all enjoyed this episode. Enjoyed the artwork that I did on that thumbnail. Very basic, but I'm thinking I'm gonna try and stick to that as long as possible and not upgrade because I really sticking with things that I have and letting them live through their lifetime constantly. That's why I like to stick with the laptop that I have and use it as long as possible. Other things that I have. Right? So in that sense, like it, awesome. If you don't, you're gonna have to suck it because I'm gonna keep that for a while. I'm guessing. But yeah, episode 3, Mike is hot. The mic certainly was hot on today, and I will talk to all audience members, whether it be friends, coworkers, children. We'll all. I'll catch you all. Fucking the bad ending. I'll catch you all on the next. Bye bye.